This is WBSM On Demand.
Good morning. Good morning. So we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to talk about Fairhaven. We've got a big panel in here with us this morning. Really happy to have Charlie Murphy, who's a longtime member of the Board of Selectmen, friend of mine. Charlie's acting town administrator. I guess everybody took a step back, and he was standing up there in the front. So Charlie Murphy joins us this morning. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning. So glad to be here.
We have Bruce Webb, who's the town planner here in Fairhaven. Good morning, Bruce. How are you, my friend?
Good.
All right, great. And we have Kathy Melanson, the planning board, chairman of the planning board here in town. Kathy, how are you, my friend?
I am very well, and I'm happy to be here.
So, Charlie, tell us what is happening with 40R and all of that stuff. Help us out here.
Okay, sure. So this has been a process that's been taken on for quite a while. And it's an Article 1 that we have that on our warrant. And like I said, people have been working on this for a long time. A lot of planning board directors have been through this process. And what we really have to realize is that we have a housing crisis, throughout the Commonwealth.
Yes.
But especially here in Fairhaven. So we have to be creative and think about ways that we can generate more housing in our town.
Right.
Because it's a crisis. It's a crisis.
So what are some of the ways to do that, Charlie?
So one of the ways that the town has come up with is by doing a Chapter 40R zoning bylaw. And so what that would do was increase additional affordable housing options to residents or those looking to make Fairhaven their home.
Okay.
And there's many other reasons to support this article, which the board fully approved at last night's meeting.
Okay.
So we give our for adoption.
Endorsed by the Board of Select Board.
Yes. Yep. Endorsed by it was unanimous.
Okay.
And our chairperson was not there last night. I was acting chairperson, but she also wrote a statement endorsing the 40R zoning bylaw.
Okay.
So this will give additional housing options beyond single-family houses for our aging residents looking to downsize or for younger families looking for their first home. It'll give small businesses an opportunity to rent a reasonably sized space to start a business in.
Right. So what regions of the town are we talking? There's a couple different areas, right?
There's a few areas.
All right, so what areas are we talking about?
So we're talking about near the waterfront area.
Okay.
There's, and Kathy, you can filter in on the exact areas from.
It's the old Park Motors. If anybody's living in Fairhaven for a long period of time, it's our old Park Motors. Right now, it's just totally blank. It's all dirt. So if anybody's been by there, and we got a lot of complaints throughout the year, why don't we do something with that area? So that is one of the overlay areas. But the overlay area starts from Route 6 to that area because we can't spot zone, so
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They have to do the whole area. So, that's a perfect place to do something. And, a couple of floors, maybe 3 floors of apartments, the bottom, some nice small commercial. There is a lot of small businesses looking for that little space.
Okay.
To open up. And the next area would be our plazas. Now, again, living in Fairhaven,
Yes.
those plazas have been there for a long time,
They have.
1970. They're looking pretty shabby sometimes. A lot of parking that we do not need anymore. Since Amazon came along, those big box stores are, really dwindling. What does that leave us? A lot of parking spaces. So to fill up some of that asphalt area with something that looks nice and to have it designed so it stays with the character of the town. That's what's actually in that bylaw. We have design standards.
Bruce Webb, our town planner.
Sure, thank you. And I'd like to just elaborate on something that Kathy, the planning board chair, had mentioned, and that is the underutilized parking lots that we have in both the plaza area, but not only that, we have the same thing in the waterfront district by the Seaport Inn,
Okay.
south of that area. Most of the time you drive past those parking lots, even in the summer, the majority of those lots are actually empty. So giving developers an extra toolbox to turn something like that into an area that gives, like Charlie mentioned, small business opportunities for starting businesses, gives affordable housing to people that want to continue to live in Fairhaven, want to move to Fairhaven, call it their home. It gives a lot of options to both residents, potential residents, and developers. It's a great solution.
So, Charlie, what do we envision if this is ultimately built out, the increase in the population to be over time?
I think it does take over time, but we're hoping to increase our population. Right now, we're just a little under 16,000 people in the town of Fairhaven. And so talking to the police department, the fire department, the Board of Public Works, our superintendent of public works, whatever the increase is only going to benefit the town. And we definitely have the resources in place that can handle this type of situation, infrastructure.
How much tax revenue do you anticipate? I mean, obviously the town, you've been there, Charlie.
Yes.
The town needs more revenue. There's no doubt about it. Went to an override. The voters voted it down. Those needs still exist. I'm not a frequent flyer, thank God, but I've used the emergency services sometimes, and a lot of people have, and ultimately I think everybody will, and they do a great job, but we need to pay them and keep them around. So what sort of revenue projections do you have on this, or is that just not at this stage yet?
So we can underestimate the revenue projections initially, just to be on the safe side.
I agree.
And so, bringing in between 30,000 to 100,000 into the tax, taxes.
Okay.
But what really is important to note is that, yes, there is an initial payment. That's what the 40R does. It helps out the town.
They get that from the state.
Yes,
right.
From the state. But what is important to recognize is that, there's a continuing tax roll. Now, there's more citizens in the town of Fairhaven. It increases our population, but also increases our tax income.
Yes. And that mixed use is what you're looking for, right, Kathy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We need to get some businesses in because, again, that's tax revenue.
Of course.
We need to get people in housing. Again, that's tax revenue. So like Mr. Murphy said, we can't really estimate it, but if you're talking about 15 apartments, because you can either do rental or you can actually sell. So rental, it's 20% affordable. Selling, it's 25% affordable. And that's how we get the affordability in. So one person can say, I can afford this apartment. Okay, you can afford it. The person right across the hallway can afford it too at the affordable rate. So you can have the two separate people with the same apartment at different rates. Now we're talking, like Mr. Murphy said, it could be at least 100 plus maybe just in that one area, not even calculating commercial to our revenue yearly. And that's what I think some people don't understand. Tax revenue is forever.
Yes, I have friends of mine who are in the development business, and they've explained to me, because when everyone hears affordable housing, I was a selectman out in Freetown. We had the same conversations back in the 90s. And when you hear affordable housing, people think wretched housing projects. And I know that is not what you folks are envisioning bringing to your hometown. So it's all about how you screen the tenants and all of that. So it's been explained to me. But try to explain that, what you're really looking for. When you mention affordable, Charlie, what are you talking about here?
So when, like Mrs. Melanson said, there's a certain percentage that would be affordable housing because, families are having a hard time sometimes, especially the middle income families. Yeah. So affordable can mean many things.
Right.
Affordable to a middle class person right now is affordable housing. So we're talking that kind of culture that we want for our population here. We want people that, may need a little assistance, and this would be an opportunity for them as well. So I believe that, it's not going to end the housing crisis, by any means.
It's not our responsibility to do that anyway, Charlie, right?
I mean, well, sometimes we take on more than we should.
No, I agree with you.
But it's definitely going to assist us in this process, because it will provide more housing in the town of Fairhaven, more people coming into the town of Fairhaven, and increasing our tax base.
Is there anything wrong with very expensive, say, over $1 million units? Is there anything wrong with thinking about having that sort of development in Fairhaven as well?
Well, I think that if you're by a seaside community, there's going to be a great opportunity.
No,
to
I agree
have
with you. Yeah.
a very nice, but also in that same structure, there's affordable.
Right.
So someone who may not be able to afford that $1 million apartment will be in affordable housing in the same unit, and they have every right to be there.
No, that's my understanding is that, but again, I think that having people with disposable income is very important to the town of Fairhaven. Right?
Absolutely.
People
If
with
they
a
wanna
lot
spend
of
their
money.
here.
Right.
I'd
Exactly.
love to have them spend their money here.
People who have boats, and because the boating culture is a lot of money in that, and it's part of our commerce. Mm-hmm. So that is all in the plan.
Yes, I mean we have a beautiful seaside community here, so we're very fortunate in the town of Fairhaven to have many aspects. Every area of Fairhaven would be a welcome place to live in. So we're just very blessed here in Fairhaven to have such a great community.
508-996-0500. Good morning. Thank you for holding.
Hey, good morning, Chris.
What's happening, Steve?
Hey, Chris, can I just ask you? I mean, it might be out of line. Are you for this? Have you made up your mind?
I haven't made my mind up. I don't know yet.
Oh, okay, so I'm gonna explain why I'm against it. So just for the people who are on your show, I moved in a year and a half ago from Freetown. Loved the life out there. We were looking for somewhere that was totally different. That trying to keep the same thing that we had in Freetown, and we found Fairhaven, which is a great town. I can't express to you how surprised we were with how much we love this town. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am totally against this, and I'm going to explain quickly why. So even your best intentions to bring this and tell the public that this is not going to become some ransack, housing, public housing. Just in the city of Fall River, the reason I left Fall River, all the public housing, everything became public housing there. There's a place there called Point Gloria, which was luxury housing on the water near Battleship Cove. That 68% of it was, when I left Fall River, was considered rented welfare housing. Okay? I have to be honest with you. When you bring an influx of that many people into a community such as this, you do not have the infrastructure around here to do that. And I'm going to be honest. People are going to be enraged if this town becomes a Dartmouth, a small Dartmouth, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to lose the charm of this place, because this is like basically like a small little fishing community. And it is a community here in Fairhaven, and that's why we love it. But I'm telling you, your best intentions to do this, I don't believe for a minute that it's not going to cost the town anything for infrastructure, because if I'm wrong, I've read that the developers will take care of the infrastructure. At some point in time, there's a tipping point when it comes to taxes for schools, fire departments, police departments, trash. These are all things that are going to add up to this town and have a problem. And I'm going to be honest with you. The best thing I think that the town can do, I'd like to see it go away, but I think it should be tabled for another year, because to me, the only reason that you're going this far and doing this is because of the deficit. And I think there's other things that the town can do to rectify that.
Thanks for the call, Steve. Thanks for the call, Steve. Charlie, want to hear that?
Sure. No, and I understand those concerns. And, other communities have, had 40Bs put in. Yep. And yes, it doesn't have as many regulations that we can control.
Okay.
So with the 40R, we have more of a say in what happens. And so that's the difference that I really want our public to know, that, we have more control of this. So we don't have that, and we don't allow that, to happen.
Charlie, any concerns that 40R is a allocation from the government annually, right? It's a state. The state has to allocate that money. I know in Lakeville they were into trouble where they weren't getting the allocation. Any trouble with that, you think?
I think it's a one-time payment. One-time payment.
It's not annually?
No.
Okay, so it's a one-time payment, subject to appropriation, right?
Right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to clarify. So we do get a one-time payment initially of approximately $350,000 once we pass the bylaw.
Okay.
once we start actually building units, there's an additional incentive for each building or each unit that's constructed of approximately $3,000.
And that's subject to appropriation by the legislature.
Nope, it's already there.
It's just there?
Yeah, they passed the Affordable Homes Act.
Right.
Laurie Healy passed that. That's why they actually did the ADUs too. But again, we would like the one time. Who would want to give up $350,000? It's the tax incentive to the whole thing. This is not a 40B. This is not Section 8 housing. This is actual developers coming in, and we have a design standard. Anything they built, we control.
Okay.
If somebody decides to build a 40B, no control.
Right.
They can do whatever because the state wants that.
Absolutely, yeah.
40B is 100% still controlled by us. Now, if we do the overlay and somebody wants to put a 40B in there, again, that'll be different. However, once the overlays are there and the state sees that we have now decided that we're going to do these overlays, and once we get our percentage of affordable housing in, that puts us right there at, Fairhaven don't need it, we're not going to force them.
Right.
So, and then we're not talking about having projects, because again, we have the control.
Bruce Webb?
Thank you. So I'd just like to quickly clarify the confusion around affordable housing versus like welfare or Section 8, which are two terms that I frequently hear in this conversation. So the definition of affordable housing when applied to these projects like 40R is someone who earns 80% of a metropolitan area's average income.
Right.
So for us, that's the New Bedford metropolitan area. So anyone that earns 80% of the average income, which I believe is in the neighborhood of $50,000 for this area.
Okay.
I'm kind of pulling that out of the air, but I believe it's somewhere close to there. These people could be earning $40,000 a year.
Okay.
And qualify for the affordable housing. So this is not bringing in, a Section 8 project, if you will. Not that there's anything wrong with giving affordable options to lower income folks.
We get that.
But, it's not opening the floodgates to a whole host of people to come in. And the building out of this project is going to be a gradual overtime process. This is not going to be something that within 4 or 5 years we're going to have all these buildings pop up like mushrooms.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what do you figure, Charlie, what the time on this would be?
Well, I think it's going to take a while. I think it's going to take a while. This is not a quick fix to our economy here in Fairhaven. This is just something to generate new money, building towards the future. There's other things that we have to do to generate new revenue here in the town of Fairhaven.
Speaking of generating revenue, we're going to take a commercial. We'll be right back, folks. We have a whole bunch of people here from Fairhaven. We're taking your calls at 508-996-05. I'm talking about 40R and the upcoming town meeting. So a lot of good information here. Stick around. We have Kathy Melanson here in studio. We have the town planner, Mr. Webb. I was going to call you Gary Webb. Do you know Gary Webb? He's a famous investigative journalist. He died in his bathtub. But anyway, hopefully that won't happen to this town planner. You wanted to talk about something, Mr. Webb?
I just want to address concerns that people have about population, which, legitimate concerns. We don't want to have a balloon in our population. However,
just a little closer if you could.
Sure. In the 2020 census, Fairhaven had a population of approximately 16,500 people. We've seen that go down. We're currently somewhere around 15 to 14.5, and we have an aging population, and so we're likely to see that trend continue for a period of time. 40R gives us a tool to address that as well, because obviously with a declining population, the cost of our services and infrastructure gets spread around a smaller pool, which makes things even more difficult. What I would consider a resounding success for 40R would be if it actually brought us back up to 16,500 within a 10, 15-year period.
Okay.
I don't consider those unreasonable numbers. And ultimately, if our infrastructure, if our schools, if they could handle the population of 16,500 in 2020, I see no reason why they can't handle that number going forward. if you didn't have issues with driving down Huddleston Ave, if you didn't have issues with finding a parking spot at the Stop and Shop, if you didn't have issues with infrastructure in 2020, you're very unlikely to have issues with infrastructure over the next 10 to 15 years with this program.
We're speaking with Charlie Murphy, Kathy Melanson here in the studio. What's the reputation, do you think, of Fairhaven for doing business with as a developer? If you're trying to build a project or any of that stuff, because I have developers come in here all the time, tell me they complain about New Bedford, they complain about Dartmouth. What do you think the reputation of Fairhaven is? Fairhaven a good place to do business in? Is it easy to do business in? Kathy, what do you think?
Well, I think a few years back, yes, we had a bad reputation because it seemed like we were more adamant on, telling these people we don't like this and we don't like this. Now we come to the point where we want to listen.
Okay.
We want to see the gray area. Everything's not always black and white. In the last, I would have to say, year, we've done ribbon cuttings and new businesses coming in. We have very few now open storefronts. So we have these people that are now calling us, because I'm also the chair of economic development.
Right.
They're calling us and saying, hey, I'm going to open up. I would like to have a ribbon cutting, or calling us and ask what they can do, rather than trying to stay away from us. So we are getting a better reputation, and we have two developers that's willing to actually wait for 40R because they know they love this town, just like, your previous speaker. They love this town, and they would want to do something in this town, and they don't mind being told that, or, asked, or not being told. This is the design standard.
Nobody likes to be told what to do.
Yeah,
you know that.
It's part of our job, though.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
So this is the design standards. This is what we have to hold you to.
Right.
It has to be comparable to the town that you're putting this building in. So all our design standards said they have to stay to the historical character of this town. So again, with the 40R, we have that control. And the two developers that's kind of like, out there thinking, I would like to do something in here, understand that completely.
And those design standards, sorry to jump in, but they provide clarity
Yes.
to those developers. It just simplifies and streamlines a process that, at times can get complicated and messy. So by laying out the expectations ahead of time, giving this additional zoning tool to developers and the town, we just, like I say, we provide some clarity to developers on what we expect, what the town expects, and what you can do for us and what we can do for you.
Everybody likes a clear set of rules. Most people, anyway, like a clear set of rules and what you're going to do with them. Charlie, your thoughts on the reputation of Fairhaven?
So over the past year, we've had a lot of small businesses come into Fairhaven.
Okay.
And family-owned businesses, small, not big businesses. We've had some big ones come in, like Starbucks,
Yeah.
but we've had some like little, kind of like a mom and pop shop, which is really great to see. And I asked them when we do the ribbon cutting, why did you choose Fairhaven?
Right.
And they said because it was a great town to work with. And that's what we want to hear from businesses.
Charlie, you're now the acting TA. Any thoughts on the Rogers School? What's going to happen with that?
So for right now, the Rogers School is kind of tied up in litigation. So we can't really do anything right now with Rogers School, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Our hands are tied at this point.
So when is this going to be presented, the 40R proposal? Kathy?
It's going to be presented to the town meeting members on the 19th. That is our special town meeting, and that is Article 1.
Article 1.
On the town meeting, we've had several public hearings on the matter. Matter of fact, I have a coffee and conversation tonight, 6 to 8, and I have another one tomorrow, 10 to 12, and we invite anybody to come in, any lingering questions. We're going to be there, a couple of planning board members. Bruce is going to be there. Rick from the building department is going to be there. And we're just going to sit. I mean, if you want to hold our hands, we'll hold your hand. Have a cup of coffee. We'll get it for you. But we're there to answer the questions. They got to stop getting the information from Facebook. They have to get it from the, so to speak, the horse's mouth.
Well, no, I think that's why we're doing this here, because you see so much. It's not misinformation. It's not intentional. It's just people misunderstand things, and then they get going with it, right? Mm-hmm. Today, everybody needs an editor, right? Everybody needs an editor, but Facebook doesn't have that. So everybody gets going it's sometimes in the wrong direction. But people have property and they have legitimate concerns, and you guys want to answer their questions. So when is this coffee and where is it, Kathy?
So it's up at the town hall.
Okay.
We have upstairs in the auditorium. So it's tonight, 6 to 8. And we're not going to throw anybody out. So if they want to talk, we've had several of them so far, and we've been with a group of people for 2 hours. And, it's very nice. I was telling Bruce one night, the lady, I'm talking to her, she says, "Oh, thank you so much," and she gave me a hug. And I'm thinking, wow, at least it was one person,
Well,
but
people
it was that
want
one person.
to know. This is where they've invested. Many people are here for generations.
Yeah.
And so it's important to them, and nobody really likes change until they get used to it. Right,
Correct.
Charlie?
Correct. And there's a lot of confusion, as Mrs. Blanton was saying, that about this, the comparison between 40R, 40B. There's a lot of confusion. So I encourage people to go to these sessions and ask their questions. They have every right. This is your community. You have every right to ask any question you do or have any challenges that you think this may be.
And this will be a great opportunity, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Tonight, and you've been doing these all along.
Yes, right, we have.
How do you find, how's the turnout been?
Well, we have a few.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like overabundant because we want to be able to sit down. Like we're sitting down talking with you.
Yes.
That's what we want, people to come in because they feel comfortable. It's one-on-one. Because when you have those big meetings, and you've got to have them too.
You do.
People don't always want to get up and say, hey.
With the cameras on? No, the
look at
television
me.
cameras. It's intimidating.
Yeah,
I get it. It's intimidating.
Totally different. We do not record it. It's just us speaking to whomever shows up.
We have Kathy Melanson from the planning board. We have Bruce Webb, who's the town planner. We have Charlie Murphy, who's the acting town administrator for a week, Charlie?
Yes, 1 week.
What do you bet that's a lot longer than that?
Everybody likes to say that.
Right? Everybody else took a step back. There was lovely Charlie standing there going, I'll do it for the town. I love this town. I'll do it. Yeah, okay, here
And
you go.
I'm doing it for free.
I hope that changed for you, Charlie. I hope that changes, Charlie. But the only people who can participate in the vote in this are members of town meeting. I know that people, it's not that hard to become a member of town meeting. Charlie, can you explain how people get involved in town meeting?
Absolutely. If you wanted to get involved in town meeting, you need to get on the ballot, you need 10 signatures. But when we have our precinct meetings, you can just have the precinct meeting, which is going to be on Thursday, November 14th at 6:30 p.m. So that's going to be the special town meeting preview also that night at Hastings. But what you can do is you just go, whatever precinct you're in, you go to your precinct meeting, and if there's quorum there, you can get voted in and then sworn in by the town clerk before town meeting.
It's very easy.
Very easy.
And it's fun, and you're off to a new race, right? I mean,
Yes.
When you first get involved in town politics, town government, it is really enlightening, I think.
Absolutely. And then you can even get involved in the finances because every precinct can provide 2 members of their precinct to go onto the finance committee.
And that is real power.
Yeah, that is.
It really has real power. We got some people here on hold. Let's take their call. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hi, I had a question regarding capacity of sewage treatment plants. In a year where we've had shell fishing beds restricted, both in New Bedford and Fairhaven, because of the quality and quantity of discharge from sewage treatment plants, how can the city in New Bedford and Fairhaven both contemplate expanding households when the status quo has not been addressed of shell fishing beds being restricted because of that discharge?
Thanks for the call.
So that
Each can
is
take it.
correct. That is a problem that we're having.
Yes.
That is a problem that we're having. And unfortunately, we share the harbor between New Bedford and Fairhaven.
Right.
But Fairhaven's water treatment, sewer treatment plant are doing really good. And we can have more capacity, according to the superintendent of public works. Fairhaven is not causing that problem.
Okay. My next guest will probably dispute that with you, but Will the mayor next. But it's not Fairhaven, it's New Bedford.
It is.
Kathy?
It is, because what happens is on severe rainstorms,
Yes.
they can't hold their capacity. So because of the size of their pipe, and they only have one, we have a double. Theirs gets over capacited, is it whatever that word is? But then they just dump it into the harbor.
Right.
Our shellfish beds are not closed because of Fairhaven, our shellfish beds closed because of New Bedford.
So as to this expanding, potential expansion, Bruce Webb, the wastewater treatment, we can handle it.
So, yes, the director of our Department of Public Works has verified for the town and actually provided a written statement confirming his professional opinion as the director that the facility can handle an increase. Not only that, but the facility is also being substantially upgraded with a denitrification plant to address the very water quality issues that the caller's referring to. And there's also recently a committee formed in cooperation between New Bedford and Fairhaven, again, to address water quality issues in the harbor. So this is something that's on both the city of New Bedford and the town of Fairhaven's radar. We are working towards solutions on these. We don't have them in place right now, no.
Okay.
And again, going back to that population decline,
yes,
where we went from 16.5 down to where we are now, we're just going to be going back to where we were. So.
Okay. So you're very comfortable with the population. It's just a return, not an increase.
That's my feeling, yes, based on what the infrastructure can handle and whatnot. Again, if it could handle it in 2020, we're good for another 10 to 15 years, even with 40R. 508-996-05.
That's how you can get on the program. Go ahead, Kathy.
I just want to say, and we have a declining enrollment in our school system. For the last 5 years, we are now down 253 or 58 students. So we can handle extra students, too. So
we're going to go to this phone. Good morning. Thanks for holding. Hello, you're on the air. Hello, you're on the air.
Oh?
Yeah, you're on the air, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, yes. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I'm wondering what type of control the town has over nonprofit agencies coming in and buying up property in Fairhaven. An example I will give you is I've had a business in Fairhaven for well over 25 years. I was a renter, but I contributed to my landlord paying taxes, which was well over $12,000 a year. He ended up selling to a nonprofit. Taxes got off the boards. Our business moved. All the money that we contributed to Fairhaven left. And so what does the town do? No support from the town. I still get a property tax bill from them. So what's that all about?
Thanks for the call. Charlie?
So, unfortunately, we cannot control who purchases different things,
it's America.
Whatever building it is in the town. But once that is sold and done, you should not be getting a tax bill for that location. That can be easily cleared up in our tax office.
Yeah, I would think a phone call to the tax office as opposed to talk radio would have been better. But anyway, I'm glad he called.
We that's one thing we can't control. Like sometimes in these complexes too, there'll be a new business going in, and people say like, "Oh, what's that business going on?" I'm like, I have no idea. You know before I do sometimes.
Right. I understand we have a new ice cream shop opening up in town.
That's supposed to be in Lifestyle Plaza.
Exactly, yeah, Lifestyle Plaza.
We haven't heard about their opening because, of course, we're the ribbon cutting people, so we haven't heard about that. But like Charlie says, we have no control. Like, if somebody's going to put in another dollar store and they start on the thing, why are you doing it? It's not our control. They got the lease from whoever owned that building, and that's how it is.
Mr. Webb.
And another point to address there with nonprofits is I know, having been in the role of conservation agent previously, we have a great partner in the Buzzards Bay Coalition who have been identifying properties along the South Coast that are subject to sea level rise and salt marsh migration. Properties that really wouldn't be viable for building on anyways, subject to flooding, what have you. So they have been identifying properties of that nature and buying some of those. And another thing is with that, flood zone that we have, Fairhaven's a coastal town. We have a lot of floodplain here. It's an inescapable fact. The state has proposed new regulations for building in that floodplain, which essentially prohibit the building of new houses in the floodplain. Over about half of Sconticut Neck is in the floodplain.
Yes.
So we are, come next year, going to lose a lot of land that currently is considered buildable for single-family housing.
Okay.
Due to changes in state regulation through, no effort of our own,
Right.
We're going to lose the ability to build houses on those properties in the near future.
So that'll artificially keep the population down anyway.
Right. And it will, it will affect our housing stock. Obviously, we can't build new houses. So in that area, it removes one option, and then 40R gives us something back. So
we're going to take a break, folks. Stick around. We have a whole bunch of Fairhaven people here. If you'd like to get involved, you can at 508-996-0500. Stick around. Plans for lunch, head over to the Profile Tavern in East Freetown. My hometown serves up the coldest, frostiest beers around the way a good American tavern should. At the Profile Tavern, the beer mugs are already frosted. So after a long, hot day at work, you deserve a frosty, crisp, cold beer. Pull it to the bar and get yourself an ice cold beer or a cocktail at the Profile Tavern. They have the best barbecue around. Brisket, ribs, chicken, you name it. They have it at the Profile Tavern. They fire up the smokers nice and early, so guarantees the best slow-cooked meats to go with your ice-cold beer. If you're not in the mood for barbecue, try the pizza. That's the go-to spot out there in Freetown, in the greater Freetown area for pizza. The Profile Tavern, right off Route 140 in East Freetown, open for lunch or dinner, owned by a great Fairhaven resident, actually, Jay Lanigan, who I think is listening to the program right now. So we have the crew from Fairhaven here in studio talking about development and the upcoming town meeting. Charlie, do you have a prediction on whether this is going to pass or fail?
Well, I think that this is a zoning bylaw that will benefit the town of Fairhaven. So,
what do you need for a vote? 2/3, right?
Yes.
With zoning?
No, I think, is that one? Oh, that was the other one. I'm sorry. I was going to say a majority, but yeah, I believe it's the 2/3.
So I think if people think about the long term on this zoning bylaw, I think they'll be encouraged. It's not going to be a major influx initially of a lot. It's going to take years for this to develop. I mean, there'll be some initial development, but then it'll take quite so many years to get things, the infrastructure done, the building, so it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but it is a good way to increase our population. It is a good way to increase the beauty and charm of Fairhaven. We don't want to lose that, and we're not going to lose
You're looking to put apartments over basically the retail establishments, such as the building I'm in right now. Is that or the plazas? Is that?
I don't
help me out
think
here,
it
Bruce.
meets this plaza.
Sure. So, and that's an issue that we've heard before, is just helping people understand what this will look like.
Yes.
So the idea is not to build on top of any existing structures. Ultimately, they can't take that kind of load anyways.
That. Sure.
So what we would be looking at is new structures. Ultimately, the vast majority of businesses in the Plaza District, they're going concerns, they're making money. There's no reason to look at tearing these down and replacing them. And that's not something we've heard interest from the owners of those properties.
Okay.
What we're thinking of is, again, going back to that underutilized space in the parking lots. And in the Plaza District, the maximum height that you can build your building is 55 feet.
Okay.
To put that in perspective, the Masonic Lodge downtown on Main Street is approximately 50 feet.
Okay.
So, and the existing Citizens Bank building, former Citizens Bank building, over by Tractor Supply.
Yep.
That, again, that's a 50-foot structure. So
Charlie and I remember that as Mammoth Mart, but anyway.
That's right.
Yeah, it definitely
So does
predates
Kathy.
me. But so yeah, these are not going to be tall buildings. They're going to fit the existing character of the buildings we have, and they're certainly not 55 additional feet on top of anything that's already there. We're talking about from ground level.
Okay.
And that 55-foot maximum height in the Plaza District, that's not the entire area. The edge of that Plaza District where you can build a structure after you get past your 50-foot setback from the edge, because you can't build right at the edge either, is actually 45 feet.
Okay.
So, these are not going to be concrete canyons that we're talking about here. These are going to very much fit in the existing character. And in the waterfront area, it's even less. The maximum elevation or height of a building in the waterfront district is 45 feet. So, I mean, we're talking 3, maybe 4 stories if you really pushed it. But with a 15-foot commercial space in the bottom and then a couple of residential spaces, we're talking about a 3-story structure.
Kathy, your coffee hour tonight, explain it again. Tell people.
So I would like people to show up. We're going to be upstairs in the town hall, in the auditorium, our beautiful auditorium, and we're going to have some, some refreshments. At that time, it might not be coffee, come to think of it, but there will be refreshments. And
Whiskey?
Well, that would be
There's
nice.
whiskey in the jar?
But we need to make sure we're talking clearly.
Right.
And we just want people to come in and sit with us, and we'll explain them or answer any of their questions.
We'll take a break, folks. We'll be right back.
You know what? How about,
Hold on.
How about how ugly everything looks on Route 6?
No, let's not say anything's ugly.
Bruce Webb and Kathy Melanson. So, Charlie, how do you enjoy being the temporary town administrator?
Well, let me tell you, it's been great to meet with the staff and see what great staff we have and all the great things that are happening in the town. That they have, the old time holiday fair, which is going to be great in December. Encourage everyone to come out there. The great job our football team is doing,
right?
And so it's great to hear all these positive stories that are happening within our staff.
And if people want to get involved in town meeting again, how do they do that, Charlie?
Okay, so simply go to your precinct meeting on Thursday, November 14th at 6:30, and whatever precinct you're in, they'll have a separate room. And so you can meet there and before the meeting and just say you want to be a town meeting member.
And everybody there is going to welcome you. It'll be fun. Listen, don't be intimidated by it. Go ahead, Kathy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, they can take out papers in December. And
Yes.
Again, like Charlie said, get the 10 signatures, get that, and you'll be on the ballot for our Springtown meeting. So I would concur about getting involved, but I would say as a town meeting member, please be involved.
Yes.
Just don't put your name there and just say I'm a town meeting member. I mean, we have 2 meetings. Well, a precinct meeting and
And
the
pay
meeting.
attention. You don't want to be the person who stands up to make a motion with the people. It's already been voted on. Sit down.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
I like that, though.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that's the other way, and it's pretty simple. You go to town clerk, ask for the paper, get 10 members of your precinct,
Right.
turn it in, and your name's on the ballot.
People act like it's a big mystery. It's not. It's very easy to get involved.
Very
We're direct
easy.
democracy here.
Yes,
Yep.
very, very easy.
Direct
Encourage
democracy.
people.
So again, tonight, Kathy, you have a meeting at Town Hall.
Yep, 6 to 8.
Where can you get free coffee in Fairhaven tonight at Town Hall?
There you go, and some little goodies, and have a little. I mean, I would like to have some couches there, and maybe some end tables, but
For now.
Yeah, we have a budget. Oh, we don't have a budget.
These were great treats you brought in today. Where'd you get those from?
The Rescue Cafe.
The Rescue Cafe.
Yep, they're wonderful people over there. We have a lot of wonderful small businesses in this town. Really, Sweet Lizzie's, Mi's Donuts and Breakfast. Obviously, we had Marisol's move in, and they're not a conglomerate like some people say.
No.
But we got yarn shops. We got it all. We really do.
Fairhaven's a great town. Bruce, I thank you for coming down. I really appreciate it. So you'll be guiding all this process as a town planner.
Yes. So I've
You're not
only
leaving,
recently
are you?
become.
You're not
no,
leaving, are you?
No plans to go anywhere.
All right.
I just got here.
All right, good. Good. So, folks, again, I want to thank Charlie Murphy, Kathy Melanson, and Bruce Webb from the town of Fairhaven for coming in and sitting with me here and answering your questions and mine, because, again, this is major changes, and changes can be uncomfortable, but or you can vote them down, really. Do whatever you want to do, but you have to participate to make your decision, right? So, folks, I want you to stick around. We're going to have the mayor of New Bedford in next, John Mitchell, who'll be here. We'll ask the mayor how he felt about the national election. We know that his team didn't win, but America won, right? Because everybody participated. So, folks, stick around, and we'll have the mayor of New Bedford in next. A fine New Bedford business to repair your car is Mac Auto Sales, 188 Rivet Street in the great city of New Bedford. They repair all makes and models, so you need to get your